Hey there, weirdos. This week we have all forgotten the faces of our fathers. Thank God. As we get into Final Guys number 12. I am Jason Brandt, joined by the amazing, why do I always say that? The amazing Jack Campisi.
Because I'm a gunslinger and you don't want to mess with me.
Wow, I don't know that is a compliment after this past weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 weeks ago. And as always, horror author Hunter Shea is here as well.
Yo, 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 in the house. His
Wow. I'm just going to let that speak for itself.
Exactly. I'm trying to go for a younger demo, man.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, his yo, in the his
Oh, maybe every week we should have a little segment where you tell us how to be younger.
Don't shizzle on my nizzle.
It's like 15 years old, I'm pretty sure.
Photo dough.
So this week, unfortunately, we are going to, or fortunately, depending on how red you want to see my face get, we are talking about The Dark Tower, the new movie starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, which utterly shit the bed in the box office this weekend. But we will get to that shortly. First, we're going to get into a little horror news to brighten my day. So what do we got, Jackie baby?
Well, my first piece of news, I thought I would keep it on the Dark Tower topic because, as you probably know, there's been rumors of a Dark Tower TV show. And I imagine that the success of this movie may or may not affect that. But Glenn Mazzara, who is executive producer of The Walking Dead, he was also involved with The Shield. He's going to be doing it. And from what I can tell, it's going to be, I think, some of the stars like Idris Elba and the main kid from Dark Tower might be in like a beginning part, but then it's going to be kind of a prequel about how Roland came to be or something like that. I don't know enough about the books, but they're saying it's going to focus on wizards and glass. So it might be a kind of a prequel with a wraparound with the older characters. So it's currently in production. They're looking at 10 to 13 episodes. I don't know what channel or if this movie bombs, if that's not gonna happen anymore. But so far, there are plans for a gunslinger TV show, whether we want it or not.
So the fourth book, the majority of it is an actual prequel to the rest of the series. So that would make sense. Unlike every other decision they've made, this I could understand maybe a little bit of.
Which is the one where Stephen King is a character in the book as Stephen King?
The fifth or sixth one, I can't remember. I don't remember which
That's
one
what I kept waiting for in the movie, but I didn't get it.
Better do it soon. He's getting up there, isn't he?
He's 70, 71, yeah.
Oh, he's not that bad.
Staying on Stephen King news, the guys who are making It. Let's see, do we have any names here?
John Ford and Stanley Kubrick.
Juan Carlos Fresnadillo. Anyway, the guys who are making It have expressed interest that after they're done with It, they would love to go for Pet Sematary.
Stay away from there.
It could be interesting. It's not like the first one's some cherished gem. It's decent.
It is to me.
Yeah, but you're an idiot.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah, his accent in that is glorious.
I actually think almost all the Stephen King adaptations, except maybe like Misery and The Shining, we can nitpick, but a lot of them could use a reboot. However, like I love Salem's Lot, the original one, but when I heard they were going to reboot it, I was like, that's one that's aged a little, but I'd love to see somebody take another crack at it. And then instead they crap the bed totally. So I don't know, but I think Pet Sematary could be done well. If the trailer from It looks good, who knows how it's actually going to be? But I'd give it a shot and see, because I think it's one of the better adaptations, but still it's not like Shining level or Misery level.
Yeah, it's not untouchable.
Did you see that? I don't know if you've read Gerald's Game, which is actually one of my favorite smaller Stephen King books. That's coming out on Netflix soon, and that's directed by Mike Flanagan. You guys
Super
know
pumped for that.
They just
Everything
released.
he does is great.
They just released the first picture from that.
Carla Gugino is the wife handcuffed to the bed
Who I love her.
in lingerie. So, dude,
I
Yeah,
was just
I'm in.
gonna say, are they gonna do her topless? Wow, that sounded awful. Is she gonna be topless through the whole thing, like the book? Because that would be an insane performance. Like,
I've seen stills. She's in like a lavender nightgown. So but she probably, I mean, she's not much younger than I am.
She
could
was
pull it
in.
off.
She was topless in Sin City.
That is true.
this would be like 10 episodes of being topless, though. Like this is probably the more sane choice.
Oh yeah, I would buy the Blu-ray extended cut, every version that came out.
You'd have printouts all over your walls.
I'd buy, the cells from the movie.
Hey, for those of you who aren't aware who Mike Flanagan is, he is one of actually the hottest directors in horror right now. He's done Hush, Oculus, Absentia, Ouija, Origin of Evil, which
was great.
To make that Ouija franchise good was just beyond belief. So this guy's got mad horror skills.
Yeah, I think his wife is his writing partner as well, and the two of them just crush it together.
Oh, nice.
The woman who starred in Hush, that's his wife.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Good for Flanagan.
Flanagan.
He's punching up.
Quality.
So, are you guys aware? I'm pretty sure you are, that Danny McBride is involved with a Halloween movie, the next Halloween movie that comes out. And for a while now, it's been unclear whether this was a reboot or if it was a sequel or a remake. Some news came out about it, and it turns out that it's going to be Halloween 3, but not that they're redoing Season of the Witch, but that it's going to take place after Halloween 2, the Jamie Lee Curtis movie, and pick up from there and ignore all of the Halloweens after that. So it's going to be a continuation of the Michael Myers, but so a reboot after the first two, which me personally, I actually think that this might be the best way to go with this. If you're gonna do anything with Michael Myers, is forget all the other crap. The first two are really the ones that matter, and it's almost like the Alien movies. If they went to Alien 3, started over there, I'd be happy.
I feel a little different on that because the second one, for a while, it was hard to find Halloween 2, and I did a few years ago, and now it's a little easier. I was like, wow, this is really boring. I think 4 and 5 are actually very good. I think 1, 4, 5 are, well, 1 is great. 4 and 5 are good. 2 is 3 I like because it's just different. But whatever.
The other ones I can even think I remember well are 1, 3, and H2O. The other ones kind of blur together for me.
Yeah, watch it. Well, doesn't AMC do their Halloween Fest or whatever in October? So you can see the watered down versions. But I suggest check out 4 and 5 when you get a chance.
Right.
They're really good.
If you trust his judgment.
That's a valid point.
I mean,
I will not steer you wrong. Although I did say that Jack should get involved in this podcast. Okay.
he also thinks you should watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and the Friday the 13th where it's not Jason. Anything else you want to recommend? Leprechaun 3?
Yeah, vampire movies, especially the one from the 70s with what's-his-face. That was so scary.
Okay, because the creature from the Black Lagoon didn't put anybody to sleep.
People have tattoos of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Nobody has Frank Langella on their arm.
For any of you confused out of your minds, if you've ever seen their show The Monster Men, that might add a little context to what you just heard.
Wow. You know what? Maybe this could be the end of Monster Men. We can't be in the same room.
You could do a whole show about Frank Langella. He was Dracula. He was Perry White. He was Skeletor.
You can start and stop at Skeletor. He was amazing in that.
I've always wanted to have Perry White as on my resume.
Great Caesar's Ghost. So that's all the news I got.
That's it. Slow week.
I think more like I think that's enough.
Yeah, I don't really have anything. Let's just jump into the next segment because I have a feeling I'm going to go off for a solid 40 minutes.
Yeah, we got to give you time. We got to let this breathe for you. We should just like blow through all this stuff tonight.
So, Hunter, how did you piss away your time?
Yes.
Much like I do, just usually to a slightly lesser extent.
It's funny. I thought I didn't watch a lot of movies, and I go, oh, I did watch a few. They just came and went so fast. Jack and I, we'll talk about a movie we watched together after we were filming Monster Men.
Good segue. Well, when you're done, we'll bridge with that one.
Yeah. It was my youngest daughter's 18th birthday. And we had a little celebration at the end of the night. I said, what do you want to watch? Anything you want. And this is proof that I'm a good daddy. She said, I want to watch Sinister. She had never seen it before. And we whipped that bad boy out. And that's might be the fourth time I've seen it. It's just as good. First of all, seeing Ethan Hawke, there's a connection of my generation to Ethan Hawke. It goes beyond reality bites. So when we see him, we just have this instant nostalgia. And to see him in this movie as a writer, which I was in my sweet spot, pulled on my heartstrings, investigating a murder that happened in the house that he moves his family into like a dumbass, which is something I would do. I love this movie. And when it was all done, I said, as my daughter was walking through the house in the hallways, I started creeping around her like the ghosts of the children were doing, which she did not dig at all. And I said, if ghosts really do exist, this is happening all the time. I think I wrecked her for her 18th birthday because I'm a good daddy. I also, because you guys told me to watch it, I watched Lake Mungo.
Oh, cool.
And that I thought was really cool. And I could actually see how people would think it was real because I think that those actors did such a good job, at least while you're watching it. At one point, my wife walked in and she watches it for about 5 minutes. And it's like, what is this? Is this like some true crime thing some documentary? So she was fooled. I was tempted to let her just go through with it and not tell her that it was a fake movie, but I thought that was really good too. So that's 3 thumbs up for Lake Mungo.
So did you find the pacing too slow? That's the biggest concern I've read from people online.
I seem to be getting into slower paced movies that are trying to develop something. So I didn't mind it at all.
I did not find that movie feeling slow because I thought the interviews with people were so authentic that I was always interested in what they were saying. Whereas some other movies where you can clearly tell they're scripted or fake, you start rolling your eyes at things. But with that, I kind of, and also it changes pace. So many, you think one thing is going on at the beginning of that movie, then all of a sudden the story changes, and it kind of does it like 2 or 3 times. So there's never really a chance for you to get bored there because they're always like, what the hell is going on? Is this real? Is this fake? Is it supernatural? And so you're sort of always guessing.
Yeah, and they give you those every time you feel like your attention might start to wane, they show like a still image of the ghost of the girl. Or is it a ghost? Or is it her brother making stuff up? It was enough to really keep me going through the whole movie. So thumbs up to the Lake Mungo folks.
Terrible name though.
The name is awful. It made me think of something other than a potential ghost murder documentary. I just thought of monsters.
I was thinking like a giant crocodile or something.
Right. Mungo.
Pink gorilla.
Just, before I go into the last movie I watched with Jack, I'll talk about a book I read. This one, it's Shark Island, which is by Chris Jameson, which is published by St. Martin's Press, and I have seen it in every bookstore I've gone into this year. To find a shark monster book in bookstores, I could not buy it. So I bought it while I was on vacation in Maine, and it's your standard sharks attacking people. It's not giant sharks necessarily, but it's these scientists who are trying to lure seals away that are ruining the ecosystem. And of course, as the seals go up to Maine, so do the sharks. So the sharks are feeding on the seals and eventually start feeding on the people. It's fun summer reading. So check out Shark Island. You can find it everywhere.
I love the cover on that thing. Looks great.
Yeah, I mean, and if you watch on YouTube, you can see this. It's St. Martin's Press. I thought it would be some like weird press that maybe somehow got a distribution deal, but St. Martin's that's the balls.
Yeah, very nice. Jack, what do we have?
Okay, I'm glad you're letting me, Hunter, introduce this one because you introduced me to this movie. So we filmed some Monster Men shows over the weekend, including our shark episode, which we talked about that book. And afterwards, as tradition, we watch a horror movie. So we're going through, trying to pick something out, and you got to go through several thumbnails and put sort of a few in the maybe bin before you find something. And we come across a movie called Spider Baby, which is something that Hunter has recommended to me before and is in my queue, but I've never pulled the trigger on. So,
it's a Shea family staple in October. We always watch it together.
Now this movie is what, like 1964?
No, it's later. It's like 67, 68, 69, somewhere right around there.
So 60s, it's black and white. And so, you know, I was like, oh, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity. And oh my God, is he right? I would suggest everybody don't watch it right now. Wait for October and make this part of your Halloween marathon because it'll be such a treat for you. This is a great movie, and I can't believe I've never seen it before. And I can't believe I've heard of it before, but this movie does not get the acclaim it should. This is a freak show of a movie with a bunch of crazy characters. Lon Chaney Jr. is in it. Sid Haig is a young Sid Haig.
Very
like
young,
in his 20s.
Yeah, and two little girls, and they all have, as Lon Chaney will explain, well, they're retarded. They have some disease where they mentally just start going backwards. They're just so out there and so strange. And one girl, Spider Baby, is into playing spider with people where she pretends she's a spider when she catches you in her web, eating spiders, having spiders as pets. There's people under the stairs. It is batshit crazy.
There's like tarantulas in the dresser.
And
How have I never heard of this?
It's a crazy ass movie. It's so
one of the best movies to come out of the 60s in the horror genre. And it was a lost one for a long time. We discovered it about maybe 6 years ago. And we watch it constantly. You will love this movie. Yeah,
no, you hit a home run with that. I'm glad. And I'm actually glad I watched it with you because that's a great movie to have other people in the room and just. He says little girls, but they're not really. They're like girls in their 20s. They're really pretty. There's another woman who shows up, and so you feels like a movie was made in the 50s, but then it kind of gets racy a little bit because they're kind of showing skin and wearing like lingerie and stuff like that. Nothing really dirty happens, but it's a little.
They do hint.
Yeah, a little bit.
They do hint at rape.
Yeah, they hint at it, but it's not like, you know, a movie now like Hostel. So Spider Baby, can't recommend this movie enough. It's a must see.
And just so you know, it's written and directed by Jack Hill, who gave us great blaxploitation movies like Foxy Brown, Switchblade Sisters, and Coffee. And he was a classmate of Francis Ford Coppola. He worked under Roger Corman. He worked on The Terror. So he had some horror chops and some directing chops coming into this, and it will become one of your annual staples. I guarantee once you see it.
Yeah. Now, what was that movie you guys watched last week? Was it We Go On?
Yes.
Okay, so I watched a movie called The Discovery that I was inspired to watch it because it has kind of a similar premise. It's Robert Redford, Rooney Mara, and Jason Segel. It's a Netflix movie, and I saw the trailer for this a while back, and it's got a really spooky trailer. And the premise is that Robert Redford is a guy who has proven the existence of an afterlife scientifically. And so once this happens, like by 2 years later, millions of people are committing suicide because they want to cross over and see what's on the other side. They want to escape their lives and do something. So there's like a counter with how many suicides are going on. It's kind of an epidemic. So Robert Redford has moved to this kind of compound where he's got kind of, it's almost like a cult of following, and he's continuing to do research. Jason Segel is his son, kind of a strange son a little bit, who comes and he meets Rooney Mara on his way there. And it's all about what was the discovery, what else is there to it. The trailer makes it look more like a Flatliners or kind of more of a horror movie than it is. It's really more of a character piece with some, afterlife stuff that's pretty interesting, but it's a slower paced movie. But I liked it. I thought it was very interesting, thought provoking. Not the greatest movie ever, but a good Netflix watch, and good. It takes a couple of turns that you're always like, what the heck? What's going on? I want to know what happens next. So I think it's worth a watch.
Sweet.
It kind of got crushed on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't think it deserves. It's like I got 43, and I think it's better than that. But I can see the trailer made it look like it was going to be a lot spookier than it is.
I've had that sitting in my queue since it came out. I kept wondering, is this going to be a scarier thriller kind of movie, or is this more of a drama? So that's why I never pulled the trigger on it yet.
Yeah, it's more of a drama with cool, kind of the sci-fi is not the right word, but there's afterlife science that's fake science. You know what I mean? So there's some cool stuff there, and I like the premise. I like where it went. I also watched this thing that was only an hour long that you both should watch. It's called the Blackwell Ghost. It is did you watch it?
Isn't Blackwell the guy that used to rate women's clothes or something?
Mr. Blackwell, the fashion guy?
Is that
that's not him. Mr. Blackwell.
Okay.
Yeah, the Blackwell Ghost is. You ever see that video on YouTube where there's a guy in a hotel room and there's screaming in a hotel room, and then they open up the door and there's nobody in there, but then you kind of see a figure, like a ghostly figure, comes out of the room.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Yeah.
So it starts with that video and some guy who could be any one of us, like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker and I was doing zombie movies and stuff, and I decided to do a ghost documentary. So I talked to the guy who filmed this video, and it starts with that, and then it goes to another kind of YouTube video that I've seen on YouTube before of another ghost video. But then they end up going to this guy's house and doing an investigation. And it's really hard to tell whether this is a real documentary or something that's fictional. After you watch it for a while, you're like, okay, this is fictional. But if you go to Wikipedia it or look it up on the internet, there's no information about this beyond people's reviews. So I can't tell you for sure it's not a real thing because I can't find any information about the movie. I actually thought I recognized the house that they filmed in. I actually think they filmed an episode of New Girl in that house. But there's one where he goes back to his parents' house. And I'm like, that looks just like... but anyway, it's really interesting because basically it's him and his wife stay at this guy's house, do a ghost investigation, and then kind of the last 15 minutes, some weird stuff really starts to happen. And they do a really good job of covering it. So it's free. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I went to Amazon as you were talking. It's Prime. You're right. It's 59 minutes. I take poops longer than that.
And again, along the lines of the landscape of found footage, stuff like this one has definitely made its mark as worth watching. So I'll leave it at that and see what you guys think.
I just added it to Prime too.
I may watch it when we're done.
The beauty of it being an hour is, if that, again, like you were saying before, if this was 10 minutes longer, probably would have been too long. Like leave them begging for more was a good move on these guys.
Does anyone walk in at one point and go, God damn it?
It was missing that.
I want that in every movie now.
What's that guy's name? Nigel? It's missing Nigel.
Nigel something, yeah.
God
damn it!
The last movie I saw was in celebration of the Monster Men we posted this week was our shark movie retrospective, and we did it because Sharknado 5 was on this week, Global Swarming. So I actually watched Sharknado 5 Global Swarming, which is ridiculous as you would expect.
You took one for the team.
You watch it for the cameos, and typically some celebrity who you may or may not recognize because they've gotten so old or are so obscure. Let me just think off the top of my head. Chris Kattan was like a British prime minister.
What the hell happened to that guy?
He's in Sharknado. Gilbert Gottfried's a news reporter.
Awesome.
Charo is the Queen of England.
Oh, good Lord.
And her face looks like the mask from Tourist Trap. It's like... Fabio was the Pope.
Hey, I always say me and Fabio share an agent.
Dolph Lundgren is like the time-traveling son of Ian Ziering.
Well, hey, don't gloss over the fact that Portia from Real Housewives of Atlanta is on there.
I don't even know who that is. So
Did you just say time traveling?
yeah, that's kind of a spoiler. So sorry.
Well, they were in space in part 4, so you might as well travel in time.
Olivia
now.
Newton-John was a robotics doctor that Tara Reid is like a cyborg and can fly and stuff. And then she gets really messed up. There's a vortex in the Sharknado that can transport people, almost like the ribbon in Star Trek Generations.
Oh my God.
And she gets all messed up at one point, and Olivia Newton-John puts her back together. And when she's like warning her to go, to be careful, at first she's like, "Don't get too physical." So,
oh my God.
Every cameo. Oh, David Naughton's in it, and they show a bar called the Slaughtered Lamb. And at one point, a shark lands on his hand, and he does this like. So, the whole reason you watch Sharknado is the cameos and the references, the Easter eggs they put in.
Right.
It's ridiculous, and I mean they're gonna keep going. But I did it. I took one for the team. I watched Sharknado 5, and
I kind of want to see it now.
you know what? It's a good one to put on. If you you're folding laundry, you got to do something else. It's a good time filling background kind of thing.
Scrubbing out your skivs.
Yeah.
I don't think
That's
I've
all I
seen
got.
one of those since 2, maybe. I don't think I've seen from 3 on.
I only saw one.
You'll kind of pick up from where they left off. And if you don't need to be explained why Tara Reid is a cyborg and just roll with it, you'll have a good time.
Yeah, the story is very layered, from what I remember.
It's a lot, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
All right, I'll plow through mine here really fast.
Quickly. I want to hear you get mad.
I'm hoping I got some of my aggression out last night. So, okay,
Oh.
First on Shudder, I finally watched a movie I've seen a couple times. What the
I'm
hell
shuddering.
just happened to you? Oh,
I'm shuddering.
it's called The Theater Bazaar.
Oh, I've seen the trailer for that. Is that any good?
I really liked it. It's an anthology, which I didn't even know going in. I just had heard of it. I'd heard people speak about it a little bit. The poster was cool. Rating was high enough. It was good. It was gory as hell. Shocked me at how gory this movie was. There was some good, interesting little segments in it. There weren't, again, really any that I felt were piss poor. The last one was losing me, but then it kind of went in a direction that made up for how slow maybe the first couple minutes of it were. But I mean, if you're squeamish about eyes and things like that, this is not the movie for you. It gets a little crazy.
Oh, I don't like eye stuff at all.
There, in one segment, there were multiple stabbings that were rough. But
I'm out.
That's
it was
actually
interesting.
it's good to hear. A good gore movie.
If my wife pulls down her eye and says, "Do I have something in my eye?" I'm like, "I don't know. You could have a bear in there, but I'm not looking. Like I can't do eye stuff."
Well,
So the Kill Bill scene doesn't do it for you?
I turned away like a little girl.
yeah, you'd have to fast forward through a good 20 minutes of this movie then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I dug it. I would definitely recommend this for horror hounds. Then also on Shudder, I watched the movie you mentioned a week or two ago, Jack, the WNUF Halloween Special. This was so much fun. in the first 5 minutes, they really captured the way it felt back in the 80s and 90s, just watching specials. They really captured it. I also agree with what you said. They took that just a little too far. Once the story is starting, they kept going back to the commercials a little too often, and it was really kind of killing the pacing for me. But it's so well done. Now, my wife is beside me watching it. She did not grow up watching these things. So she was like, oh, wow, they did a really good job making that look like the 80s. And then 5 minutes later, she's asleep. She was just bored out of her mind watching these commercials. And I'm watching this thinking, how have I never heard of this before? And
I'm so happy.
I really just feel like there was just too many commercials in it towards the end.
Yep.
And I think that's probably why more people haven't spread the word on this. But it's so well done.
Now, speaking of what we were saying before, there's a God damn it kind of guy in that.
Awesome.
The host who goes in the house
who's great. I loved him in this.
Yeah.
He
So
was
supposedly
outstanding.
that's a show that was aired on Halloween 1987.
That's the story.
That's the story. Okay.
Yeah, it's fictional.
Hunter, you're gonna love this. It's Channel 11. It's totally like Channel 11.
See, this is perfect because I have planned tomorrow. My wife and I are, when we're waking up in the morning, we're watching horror movies until we go to sleep at night. We're not doing anything. Like, I've cleared the deck for tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So that's on.
Watch this. It's super fun. They obviously did it for very little money, but they must be editing wizards because just everything looks. There's a tracking issue on the bottom. They really, really nailed it.
Awesome.
Even just the color palette, everything was just on point. And I believe that guy is in my neck of the woods. I think he's from Baltimore, the guy who directed this.
Their thing is they commit because they do like half the news before they even get to the special.
Yeah. There was one thing I wondered who was watching this tape because there's a couple times when they fast forward.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been kind of interesting to see who that was, but, it's minor.
That was God damn it, guy.
That was the WNUF Halloween special on Shudder. I think this might have been on Shudder. Man, where's my money, Shudder?
Again, every damn week.
So this is a movie I always saw in the rental stores throughout the 90s, and I never grabbed it, even though the poster always had me interested. It was called Dead and Buried from 1981. I had just never pulled the trigger on it for whatever reason, and finally, this week, I figured, what the hell? It was really good. I enjoyed the hell out of this. It's paced like a movie more from the 70s than the 80s, so I could see a lot of people kind of being like, okay, let's get this going a little bit. And the transfer or whatever they did, it was really dark towards the beginning, and I was having trouble seeing a couple of the scenes when a family was running through a house and things like that. But if you always wonder what 80s movies are really good that you just might have somehow missed, this could be one of them. Creepy small town thing, some pretty gruesome deaths at the beginning. Very interesting movie.
I just heard an interview with the director, Gary Sherman, and what we see is not what he wanted it to be. There's cutting room stuff. There's different ending that they destroyed, but this is known as an 80s classic.
Where did you hear that interview with him?
Oh, Shockwaves, maybe, or Scream Addicts is one of those two. I heard him on.
What the hell am I hearing? Somebody banging their chair? What is that?
I wasn't even wondering the same thing.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't hear anything.
We're being hacked by Russians.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I think I did hear that. Is that the guy who did Poltergeist 3?
Yes.
Oh, I must not have listened to the whole thing then. Okay, I didn't realize that was the same guy. He's got some chops then. Okay.
He does.
Really interesting. So yeah, that's a good 80s movie. And that is all I have. I haven't finished my read, and I'm not going to get Jack by talking about... I actually didn't read much this week, so I didn't have anything to talk about.
You don't want to talk about what book you read 10 pages of?
That's
Just to
right.
piss Jack off.
I should.
When you mention the same book every week after week,
I'm a very slow reader.
Well, me too, dude. Forget it. The book I'm reading now. It'll be like next year by the time we're ready to talk about it.
I lent Jack Boy's Life by Robert McCammon 600 pages. I figure I'll get it in the next life.
That book is long, and some stretches of it are plotting.
That's
Good
actually
books.
not true. You did not
No?
lend me that book.
I didn't.
You lent me a vampire book by that guy, and I read it and gave it back.
That's
So
right.
suck it.
Oh, I gotta find that book now. Where'd it go?
Now I don't trust anything you ever say.
I started a Hunter Shea book, and it's so bad I can't pick it back up.
Yay!
Hey, with that,
It is time to talk about the Dark Tower. Let's just go with Jack first.
no,
You haven't read any
No.
of
Save
the
Jason
books.
for last. Save Jason for
no, I
last.
want Hunter to go first.
You want me to go first?
I'm tired of being I'm dying to know what Hunter thought of this.
All
Okay,
right.
I'll go first. That's fine. Now, I will preface this saying that the Dark Tower books by Mr. King are the only ones of his I haven't read yet because I had been saving them for a rainy day. What that day is, I don't know. So I went into this completely clean slate, but a little tainted because I saw some of the early reviews and people were really crapping on it. But I said, you know what? It's raining. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm going to go. I was joined by our super fan Spence, so we watched it together. I was like, all right, nice theater, comfy chair, good company. Watched the movie, which is a child with The Shining, because I guess the Dark Tower series kind of ties together a lot of Stephen King's world, but it jumps around so much, and yeah, it just felt like I was missing huge chunks. I couldn't really tell. But this young child is seeing visions of another world and the man in black and the gunslinger who's Idris Elba. And then he finds his way into their world and he teams up with the gunslinger and they band together to defeat the bad man. I mean, that's pretty much the whole friggin' movie. Whether it was all the books boiled into one of the books, two, I could not tell, but I just kept feeling like I was missing something. When my initial reaction when it was over, I said, that was okay. It was nothing special. And then now it's 24 hours later, and I'm just realizing what a dumpster fire that movie is. There are so many things that just people drop the ball. Idris Elba, I like him a lot. He gives such an unnuanced performance. A block of wood could have done this thing. Just add something fresh and new. Matthew McConaughey is he the man in black? Is he Johnny Cash? Is that his thing?
Yep.
I kept waiting for him to say his line, then jump in a Cadillac and just ride away in a commercial. I don't know. There was just so much. I don't know. It was a mess. I thought it was a mess.
Okay. I'm so happy to hear that because I was waiting for you to come out and be like, that's the greatest movie I ever saw. And I was going to. So instead, you actually had a very, very similar reaction to me, whereas I saw it, and then 24 hours later, I came out going, well, that was really disappointing, but it was okay, I guess, or whatever. And 24 hours later, I'm like, what a pile of garbage that was. Whatever. Here's some of the words that I thought of after the movie. Generic.
You wrote them down?
I wrote them down. Generic, rushed, forgettable, underdeveloped. And then my initial reaction was I felt like I just watched an episode of Charmed that had a higher budget because it was a typical, the demons are trying to get through and we've got to save the thing and light special effects and this and that. It was so I've seen the story a million times. To be honest, I've heard such great things about this book series, and I see this movie and I'm like, I have no desire to read these books if this is what this is. Okay.
See, I came out of this with I realize I have to go read these books because I know they're nothing like this.
Yeah.
The bar is set so low they can only be great at this point.
Now, where I disagree with you when we get into it more is I thought Idris Elba was the best thing in the movie.
Ugh.
And I thought McConaughey was so underdeveloped and trying hard, but he was the most charmed villain of anything. And why he's doing what he does, what exactly are his powers or anything. It was just, here, give me some black clothes and some products for my hair to spike it, and I'm a bad guy. Like, so
Stop breathing.
For as a Lord of the Rings fan, I know what taking something that I cherish and make it into a movie meant to me. So I feel bad for the book readers because I can tell, like, wow, this, Jason, I'm always saying this movie should have been shorter. This movie should have been longer. I like watching. I'm like, that's it. That feels like they just jammed a lot of stuff in here. That those monster guys who have the skin on them. Who the hell were they? They could have spent 10, 15 minutes on them. And
dude, was that like tech guy who was working with Matthew McConaughey? Was that the stoner from Cabin in the Woods?
Yes.
What a waste of him.
I don't even think he had a name, did he?
I don't know. He was just there. Oh my God.
All right, Brant, let's have it.
It's going to be a lot of F-bombs. Here we go.
I saw this movie Saturday, probably around noon, and then immediately we went to the bar and started drinking, and I probably spent most of Saturday night trying to hang myself.
Wow.
Successfully. I hate this movie. I hate it as a Dark Tower adaptation. It is god-awful. Mind-numbingly bad. I don't understand how after 10 years of development, this is the best they came up with. As just a movie, which is how I tried to go into this to watch it. And I should preface this with, when it comes to Stephen King adaptations, most of my favorites are not very close to his books. Because the way he writes, the things he puts in, they often don't adapt well. You end up getting maximum overdrive if you do it just like the story. Whereas if you make some changes, you'll get The Shining. What the hell is that? Is that me?
My phone's buzzing.
Oh, I thought my dog was trying to get in the door.
I thought it was tinnitus.
You hear everything, huh?
Apparently. It must be really good $6 earbuds I have. So I should say that. Even the Stephen King, The Running Man, right? If you've ever seen the Arnold version, it has nothing to do with the book. And I like the Arnold version. It's a solid movie. So I'm not a purist when it comes to adaptations. I want to see a good movie. And if that means you got to change a bunch of shit, so be it. I'm fine with that. As just a movie, it's a complete pile of shit. And I know we said we wanted to try to be a little more positive on this show. I've got some scripts, floating around. Oh my God. I just don't even understand how this thing got made. You guys were saying you didn't understand the story. It's because it was nonsensical.
Thank you.
My wife and I, my wife is a bigger Dark Tower fan than I am. She's going to get a Dark Tower tattoo. That's how much she loves it.
Wow.
And she kept saying, how would somebody who hasn't read the books even understand what's happening? Because they're jumping from one thing to the next, and you don't know who half the characters are. You don't give a crap about them. When they find the portals and the house attacks him, you're like, what the hell's going on? Why is the floor attacking him?
And then how did he get out of it so easily and not even get a splinter?
Yeah, what happened? Why did it stop? It's crazy. When Matthew McConaughey is using the orbs, what the hell are those orbs? What is that? I know because I read the books, but in the context of the movie...
He can stop a bullet with glass, shards of glass.
Okay, yeah. Before we start absolutely crushing every scene, I just wanted to give you my quick overview. That's pretty much where I am. I hated it on every single level. Jack, you said you thought Idris Elba was the best thing in this movie. I actually agree with you, but to me that's like saying you're the floater in the bowl of diarrhea. It's just... I thought he was not good, but he was head and shoulders above everyone else.
I just thought he was boring. I've seen that performance, the macho, leaden, sullen big guy. I've seen that a million times. You're a good actor. Just look at a guy like Vincent D'Onofrio and watch him on Law and Order. Watch what he does to a character. Add some sort of physical nuance to it that makes you compelled to watch. He did nothing. That drove me crazy.
I kind of want to go into a little bit about, since neither one of you guys have read the book, I really wanted to ask you what you thought about certain things. Like at the beginning, and this isn't really a spoiler, this happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie or something. The man in black kills Roland's father and then walks away from him. Did that make any sense to you guys at all?
No. I didn't even know that was his father.
No, I knew it was his father, but then he just said, "Oh, well, Roland is resistant to my powers for some reason."
Right. He said that like a half an hour later. But at the time, what? I thought we were fighting. He just walks away. But then when you see their battle later, he's manipulating the environment to attack Roland. So why didn't he just do it at the beginning?
I assumed he was the devil in the beginning. I'm like, oh, well, so he just wants to mess with his life. That's who I thought his character was. I thought he was Satan.
Okay, explain his powers to me. Is there anything he can't do?
Well, so here's my question.
I could answer that.
Magic powers that, like, he's like the Purple Man from Jessica Jones, and that he can just say things to people and they do whatever he says, even to more extent. So he's got these supernatural powers, yet he needs machines to do certain things. So it's like, are they magic machines, or is he magic? Like, I didn't get the difference between science and magic here. Like, why do you need a machine to do this and magic to do that?
He should have walked up to the crew and just gone, "Stop filming," and then production would have ceased, and we'd all be happier.
Listen, when you got Stringer Bell and Rustin Cole from The Wire and True Detective, those two guys, Idris Elba and McConaughey, what a waste of talent you had. These two guys. Did you see True Detective the first season?
Oh hell yeah, that was amazing.
My God, McConaughey's amazing, and Idris Elba's great and everything. But if you watch The Wire, he's badass in that. So I'm watching this and going, you put the two of them in a scene together, and it's like, meh, it's like Charmed. The glass stuff was so dumb.
Yeah, I want to save that end fight for the spoiler section because I'm gonna blow a fuse as we go through that.
We should just go right to spoilers now.
So can I just say one good thing about the movie?
Okay.
I think that the actress Catherine Winnick, who played the boy's mom, I could watch her all day.
She's from Vikings, right?
I have no idea. I thought she was gorgeous.
Well, I do want to say one thing here before we jump in. The Dark Tower series is about Roland. This movie is about the boy.
Yeah, it's like Goonies without a crew.
It was a mind-boggling decision. And this book, for the most part, seems to be the gunslinger and the last book mashed together with most of the stuff in the middle cut out, which again, what?
So that's why nothing. Okay. I feel better that I thought maybe I was stupid.
Roland is supposed to be a cowboy, like a grizzled 50-plus-year-old cowboy, not this buff, handsome, super clean guy in leather without a fucking cowboy hat. Like, what in God's name? I hate it.
And how about, do you get the feeling Idris doesn't run often? Because when he ran, it looked painful. Like, he's so bulky. When he can only take like these stuttering steps whenever he tried to run. I was cracking up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
They wasted opportunities with the guns too. Like, there could have been a lot cooler stuff. There's a lot of like heavy CG with the fake loading of guns and stuff. Some of it was cool, like when he was flicking his finger and loading the gun quickly. But some of the other stuff. But I just thought for a movie that's centered around a gunfighter, it was just sort of a lot of just generic shooting stuff and not really stylized.
Did we ever even see him fan the hammer like a cowboy while shooting quickly? I don't think we ever saw him do that even.
No.
I mean, this is Western 101, people, for Christ's sake. Like, it drove me nuts. And the first
people
book
don't watch
is like
Westerns anymore.
So I think it was Stephen King actually said while talking to the executives first of all, Sony makes this movie, in case you couldn't tell, because they screw everything up. And he was telling them he needs to be wearing a hat. And they said, in movies where the main character wears a hat, they make less money. So that was their rationale. These people who make Adam Sandler movies didn't want to give a cowboy a hat.
How'd the Indiana Jones movies do?
God.
Oh, yeah, they were real stinkers, right? I don't think they did anything at the box office.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go into spoilers.
It's time. Go ahead.
If you people haven't seen this, you might as well hang out. Don't watch this fucking movie. We'll just tell you about it right now.
Well,
however, follow us at finalguys.com.
That's right.
I'll say this, but I guess for people who are signing off, even though we've sort of been spoiling already, if you want to give a rating before we go any further, like
Sure.
so my rating would be: do not see this in the theater, do not pay-per-view this, but wait for it when it comes on like HBO or something, and watch it. Unless you're really curious, then pay-per-view it. But for me, having paid to see it in the theater, I'm like, I just between the money I spent on the ticket and the money I spent on overpriced snacks, I'm like, oh my god. So
Hunter.
If you are a paraplegic and somebody has taken away the remote, there are worse ways you can spend an hour and a half. But other than that, or if you're a Stephen King completist, see it. Even if you love the books, see it so you can see just how bad Hollywood can screw things up.
I would say when this comes out on disc, head to Best Buy or Walmart, see if you can find a copy, smash it on the floor, and then go to the front desk and pay them. And I will send you the money because there is one less disc of this pile of shit in the world.
shouldn't you skeet shoot it? Wouldn't that be more appropriate with your gun?
Maybe I'll buy a couple and just shoot them on Facebook and post the videos.
Fan the trigger.
All right, let's just get into spoilers so I can really ramp this son of a bitch up. The special effects in this movie were terrible. The way it was shot, even the whole time I'm watching it, I kept thinking, this looks like a cheap television show episode. It doesn't look like a post-apocalyptic Western at all. Yeah,
no.
It really did.
When that building that the Man in Black is in, when it exploded, it was embarrassing how bad that CGI was.
You mean with the magic bullet?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. After he has his fight, which I want to go into with the Man in Black, which was beautiful, he shoots the thing that was attacking the tower, the big building machinery, with one bullet. And like an 80s bad action film, when you shot the trunk of the car and it explodes, the whole thing blows up. As terrible as that is, just from a storytelling perspective, this was the thing that was surrounded by children that they were putting into it to beam their thoughts up. So at the end, we're supposed to be happy that Roland just murdered dozens of children.
I didn't even think of that.
Children.
So did I.
For the love of God. Jack, what did you think of the last fight between Roland and the Man in Black?
Well, first, let me ask you a question about the end credits. So there's no stinger at the end, but you hear whistling. I stayed till the very end.
So did I.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
And so you hear like the Matthew McConaughey whistling. So as a book reader, is that supposed to tell me that the Man in Black isn't dead yet? Because going back to the fight, I couldn't believe that the Man in Black died in this movie. And he died so
easily.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what? He's dead? That fight was, again, I just kept thinking, like, this is like something off the SyFy Channel.
It really was.
McConaughey stopping glass and, just shooting. And it was just the most generic. And then the little boy's holding the portal open with his powers. Again, I was like, I'm watching it going, okay, this is like any other sci-fi movie I've seen 1,000 times. I can't believe that this is the big much ado about nothing. Like, if this is what the book is about, this is the most generic thing I've ever seen. I knew the book wasn't this, but I just kept thinking, like, my God, if this is the book, why are people so excited about this?
No.
It's so generic.
I have a question for you, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Is the gunslinger a superhero or a regular person? Because he endured beatings and having slabs of concrete tossed on him and shook him off.
It was very exaggerated in this. So in the first one, in the book, The Gunslinger, he's much more of a regular dude. And as it goes on, you learn a little more about him and some things evolve. But
right.
In this, again, at the end, I think there was someone in the theater with us that said something like, what does he have powers too? I don't understand.
I didn't get that. And then all it takes is a nursery rhyme you tell the kid for him to shoot better than he did before.
That's all.
I got a question about the nursery rhyme thing with the that they say. It's almost as long as the Green Lantern pledge thing, but it has an even bigger flaw. is you don't get to the heroic moment till you get to like the third verse of that. So they're shooting. It's like, well, blah, 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 I forgot my father. Bang, I miss. Blah, 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 I forgot my father. Bang, miss. Blah, 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 I forgot my father. Bang, and he hits. It's always the third one. So I'm like, why didn't they just make the pledge one verse so you would hit on the first time? It's like in the Austin Powers. You know, you always Will Ferrell always answers the third question. So you got to always ask him 3 times, and he'll give you the plans. Like you got to say the third verse, and then you'll hit.
Honestly, if I was making this, I would have possibly cut that entire thing out. It's one of those that when you're reading it in the book, it's cool and interesting, and then when you're seeing people utter these lines, I'm wondering, is it just because this entire movie's bad, the acting's bad, that this feels so cheesy, or is this just cheesy? Like, I wasn't sure.
Right.
The fight, I did. My mouth was open for about the last half hour of this. I was just staring at the screen in awe that I paid $20-some to come see this movie. And at the end, McConaughey's catching all his bullets and blocking bullets with glass and throwing bullets back at Roland, who's blocking them with his gun.
Like Wonder Woman.
Like, yeah. Like, and you find out his gun was made from Excalibur. You know, they just threw that line in there for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so flabbergasted. I could be wrong on this, and I'd love for somebody to tell me I just saw this incorrectly. But when he kills the man in black, he has to ricochet one bullet off the other, which is just preposterous. But I think he shoots the first bullet at a straight line at the man in black. He waits for like 30 seconds and then shoots another bullet that banks and somehow catches up to the bullet going in the straight line, and they collide.
Because he shot with his heart. He shot with his heart, man.
He made the bullet go faster. Like,
yeah.
How does this shit get through?
You ever see that movie Wanted with James McAvoy? And,
yes.
It was very much like that with curving bullets and stuff.
But I loved Wanted.
At least that movie embraced its ridiculousness.
So are you telling me that's not how the man in black dies?
No. Not even close.
And in the books, his gun isn't made from Excalibur?
There is some stuff in there. I don't remember if his gun was made from Excalibur, but there's some talk of Arthur and things like that because their world and our world kind of overlap in weird ways. But
that's kind of cool. I wanted to hear more of that.
Dead? Is the Man in Black dead? Like, is that the end of the series?
Well, so the whistling is something the Man in Black does. I don't even know if he does it in the Dark Tower books, but he does it in The Stand. It's the same character who's the bad guy in The Stand. Oh. And so if you're not a super dork like me, that would just mean nothing. Because he never whistled in the movie, right?
No.
To be honest with you, I read while I was watching the end credits, I Googled, is there an end credits? And it said, he whistles. So that's how I knew.
Yeah, I don't remember him whistling in the movie. So again, how does this make any sense at all?
That told me that maybe he'll come back, but I don't know.
I was just glad it was over. Who let the dogs out? Jason, Jason, Jason.
I don't think that means my wife's home yet, but we'll find out.
Or there's an intruder. We're going to watch.
What'd you think of the little Easter eggs? I posted a video on the Monster Men page, or it's a video. Yeah, it's a video that shows all the Easter eggs. There's like the kind of obvious ones. There was Pennywise. There was The Shining.
Well, The Shining, yeah. Is Danny Torrance going to be helping the guns?
There's also 2 twins, like in a playground.
Were there?
Yeah. Go to the Monster Man page. You can watch the video. There's the Christine car on like a kid toy.
Oh.
There's a Salem's Lot reference. There's the like Straker and Barlow sign behind in the city or something.
Why put it in? Nobody cares. Like or maybe they think that's what to get people to watch it.
I actually liked that stuff, but at that point I was so pissed off that I was, oh, hey, 19. Yeah, oh, Cujo. But
a lot of the reviews I'm reading are, most people are like, well, it's not a great movie, but it's not bad. It's just kind of okay. I think, Hunter, like when our reaction when we first walked out was like, okay. I think a lot of people were doing their instant takes.
I think if I didn't have to do a show on it, it would be okay, and I would never really think of it again.
Yeah.
But because I had 24 hours to sit on it and go, all right, well, we got to talk about this tomorrow, it just got worse. I just picked it apart. I just pulled on one thread and another, and it just all fell apart.
I saw it Thursday night, so I had even more time to get pissed at it.
Good Lord.
Just as an example of how bad the writing is in a scene that most people probably watched and thought it wasn't bad. But when you think about it, it's like, what the hell? When Roland is teaching Jake how to shoot the guns in the old crappy warehouse, and it's this scene that's like 5 minutes long. And at the end of it, he says, "These guns are for me. You have your mind as your weapon," or something. And then the kid never shoots the guns. Why in God's name is this in the movie?
I actually wondered that too.
That's so terrible.
I kept waiting for the kid to shoot his gun. That's what I was waiting for.
Exactly. If at the end the kid picks up the gun and shoots a man in black in the back or something and they win, then it justifies that scene.
Right.
But it doesn't.
Well, earlier in the movie, when they get attacked, he goes to reach for the gun. The monster comes at him, and so then he turns around and runs away. So it would have been perfect if later on in the movie, same thing happens, but he gets the gun and uses it. So they wasted that.
Would be good writing, which is why it's not in this movie. I just thought that was just a perfect example. This movie spans 7 novels, God knows how many thousands of pages, and they crammed it into 90 minutes, which is the worst decision ever. And then they take 5 minutes of it and have it just be complete and utter nonsense that has nothing to do with anything.
No.
It's just a great example to me of how bad everything in this is.
Suicide Squad was longer than that. Why wasn't this movie longer? Like,
you know what? I always thought that if they did it, it would be a series. And I always felt each book would be a series. And depending on the size of the book, you might get 4 episodes, you might get 8, whatever. But I was wrong. This is what we got.
HBO should do this, just like they're doing Game of Thrones, and it would be amazing what they could do with it. This movie should have been a Western, a post-apocalyptic Western, where you're seeing some weird things. There's a little bit of magic, and it like ramps throughout the movie. And then as the series or the sequels come, that's when you start getting into the crazier and crazier stuff. That's what happens in the books. That's what should happen in this. And instead, we get this. I think the budget was only $60 million, and for everything 60. So for everything they were trying to do, it probably should have been 160. And it just looks cheap and ugh. So anyway,
there are people starving in America, and they can fritter away $60 million on this.
It's Sony.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So anyway, I actually didn't rant as much as I thought. I could have gone into the casting and how bad all this was. I did a little bit. Everyone harps on Idris Elba being black when the character in the books is white, which would be an issue if they were actually keeping things relative to the series, because race becomes a very big issue in the later books.
Right.
But clearly they don't give a shit about that, so
no,
it's not as important. But the fact that he's this jacked, younger, beautiful guy just does not fit this dude Jake finds in these wastelands who's just been walking for God knows how eons or whatever the hell they said. It's just dumb.
Plus, I just think he is as bland as Dolly Madison vanilla ice cream.
Listen, go watch Luther on Netflix, a BBC show with him. It's tremendous. They've got serial killers. He's badass. He's got a temper. He has to do compromising things. You'll see him at his best.
Right.
Luther.
Well, that's the thing. I expected more from him, and I got
he and
nothing.
McConaughey are the shit. They were just miscast, and the rest of the movie's just bad.
Yeah.
That probably was a sign for a lot of people right away when they cast some of these people in these roles. It's just like, wait a minute, who's making this movie, and do they actually give a shit about the books? And it doesn't seem like they do.
Well, there's room for a reboot. Look at it that way.
Come on, HBO. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop now before I completely lose my mind. I had so many other things. I'd actually written some stuff down, too, that it just really irked me. But
it's not worth it. Just let it go.
One more thing.
Son of a bitch.
Why was this rated PG-13? For the love of God. Did you not learn anything from Deadpool and Logan? This should have been rated R.
They
and
just
then the
want
Man
to
in
get
Black,
more eyes.
when he was telling people to kill themselves and each other, you could have done some really scary, creepy stuff there instead of just him walking away.
Your decision to make the movie centered around a boy immediately says it's going to be PG-13.
That's a good point, actually.
There you go.
God damn it.
Let it go. Let it go.
Okay, so for next week, we are watching. What the hell are we watching?
Annabelle creation.
Nobody can ever say we do not love our listeners.
Hey, beforehand, we saw it's getting great reviews.
It is. I'm just nervous because I just watched The Dark Tower and spent a lot of money.
I'm dreading this movie.
Not me.
We are holding out hope, people. The director is really good, so
Yeah, that made me optimistic. There, you know what? There'll probably be a few good. I saw some behind the scenes stuff. Even those Conjuring movies, I'm not a big fan of, but there's always one or two scenes in it that make it worth watching. So
It's in the Wandaverse. It'll be
let's
good.
hope. Jack, you got anything you want to hawk before we get out of here?
no, I just say go check out our Monster Men Shark episode on Monster Men 13 on YouTube. It's pretty good.
Did you guys hear that?
No.
My
I
Echo
heard
just
something.
turned on and asked me a question. This is the haunted episode. We're not
It
even
really
in
is.
October.
Jesus.
That is a great Monster Men episode. I watched it. Awesome as always.
Thank you. We were sober.
Hunter, anything you got to try to sell to the peoples?
Well, I had another book come out last week. Optical Delusion. It's part 2 of my mail order massacres. So if you liked Just Add Word of My Killer Sea Monkeys, check out what happens when you get X-ray specs. Oh, and also, just stay tuned. I have audio copies of The Jersey Devil on CD. I'm going to be giving away soon. So stay tuned.
Nice. Who put
Is
that
that
out?
8-track?
It's with graphic audio. So they have 25 actors in it and
Oh wow, that's
music
awesome.
and sound effects. It's absolutely incredible.
Oh, man, I want to get that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, people, finalguys.com. We're live on YouTube every Tuesday, and the episode and audio goes up Wednesday mornings. We will catch you for Annabelle next week. Bye.